Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the life of everyone's favourite starfish, Patrick Star. From his hilarious moments in Bikini Bottom to the surprising depth of his character across the SpongeBob universe, we'll be exploring Patrick's entire story. If you enjoy SpongeBob and want more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and drop a comment telling me your favourite Patrick moment. Now, let's begin Patrick's story. Far beneath the shimmering waves of the Pacific Ocean, in the quiet town of Bikini Bottom, a little starfish came into the world who would one day bring laughter, silliness, and surprising wisdom to all who knew him. His name was Patrick Star. From the very beginning, Patrick's life was simple, yet filled with a warmth that matched his soft pink colour. Born into the Star family, Patrick grew up in a home that, like him, was unassuming and humble. His parents, though not always the sharpest sea stars in the reef, adored their son. They raised him with a gentleness that encouraged his carefree outlook on life. From them, Patrick inherited not only his round, goofy smile, but also his ability to approach the world with a kind of innocent wonder. As a baby, Patrick was curious about the smallest things. The way bubbles floated upward, the soft sway of the seaweed, or the gentle glow of jellyfish drifting by fascinated him for hours. Even then, he had the unique ability to find joy in the simplest details. Unlike other children who might fuss or demand more, Patrick was content to stare at a drifting bubble and giggle as though he'd discovered the greatest treasure in the ocean. His early years were filled with playfulness. Patrick was never in a rush to grow up, and in truth, that part of him never really changed. He enjoyed rolling across the sandy seabed, clapping his little arms at the sight of clams, and laughing loudly at things no one else seemed to notice. Though some found his behaviour odd, Patrick's parents loved his cheerful spirit, recognizing that their son was different in a way that would one day make him unforgettable. Even as a young starfish, Patrick had a boundless imagination. He would sit for hours, making up stories about the world around him, pretending the shells on the ocean floor were tiny houses, or that the bubbles rising toward the surface carried secret messages to the stars above. His creativity didn't always make sense to others, but to Patrick, it was perfect. In his world, everything had meaning, and everything could be a source of fun. Patrick's carefree attitude also meant he was never one to worry much. When other children might become upset or competitive, Patrick simply went with the flow. If he stumbled, he laughed. If he got lost, he looked around and decided it was just another adventure. Life to Patrick wasn't about stress or struggle, it was about finding the joy in each moment. That same easygoing personality would become his defining trait, shaping how he interacted with friends, neighbours, and even strangers throughout his life. Yet, beneath his silliness, Patrick showed the qualities that would make him beloved by everyone who came to know him: kindness, loyalty, and a big heart. As a baby, he shared his toys with others, even if he didn't quite understand what sharing meant. He loved company and found joy in simply being near others. It didn't matter who they were. Patrick believed everyone had the potential to be a friend. In many ways, Patrick's early life mirrored the calmness of the sea itself. He was content to drift, to let the currents take him where they pleased. Unlike others who might rush to learn or strive to impress, Patrick never felt the need. He was happy just being himself, and in that simplicity there was something beautiful. Though the details of Patrick's earliest days are rarely spoken of in Bikini Bottom, glimpses from episodes like Truth or Square and the Patrick Star Show remind us of his childlike innocence. Even as a grown starfish, Patrick often acts like the same playful child he once was. Whether it's giggling at his own jokes, sleeping peacefully under his rock, or finding amusement in things as simple as mayonnaise, it's easy to see that the heart of the baby starfish he once was still shines in everything he does. Patrick's childhood also set the stage for the friendships that would define his life. From a young age, he was drawn to companionship. His laughter was contagious, his silliness magnetic. It wouldn't be long before he found his lifelong best friend, SpongeBob SquarePants, a sponge who shared his joy, his imagination, and his love for adventure. But even before their fateful meeting, Patrick's heart was already ready to give and receive friendship. Looking back, it's clear that Patrick Star was never meant to be ordinary. From the moment he was born, his destiny was not to achieve greatness in the way others might define it, not through riches, fame, or power, but through the simplest, purest things. His role was to bring joy, to remind others not to take life too seriously, and to prove that happiness can be found in the smallest of moments. And so, under the gentle sway of the ocean currents, Patrick's story began, not with fanfare or triumph, but with laughter, innocence, and a heart as big as the sea. A baby starfish who would grow to become the funniest, kindest, and most loyal best friend Bikini Bottom had ever known. While Patrick Star is best known as SpongeBob's lovable best friend, his roots lie in the quirky and colourful Star family. Like the ocean itself, Patrick's family is vast, strange, and sometimes confusing, yet it is here, among his kin, that we see the heart of where Patrick came from. His story isn't just about silliness or adventures under his rock, but also about the family ties that shaped him into the starfish we know and love. Patrick's parents, Herb and Margie Star, first appeared in the episode I'm With Stupid. In that story, SpongeBob pretends to be unintelligent so that Patrick can impress his parents, only for Patrick to insult SpongeBob by accident. It's a humorous episode, but it also shows the relationship Patrick has with his family. His parents, though not overly present in the series, are portrayed as gentle and supportive. They may not fully understand their son, and times Patrick doesn't always understand them, but there is love in the way they treat him. The humour of the stars is that, much like Patrick himself, they aren't exactly the sharpest fish in the sea. Their interactions reveal a family that values presence over perfection. When they spend time together, it isn't about accomplishments or achievements. It's about being together, laughing together, and accepting one another as they are. From his parents, Patrick inherited not just his simple-minded ways, but also his ability to love unconditionally. Patrick's family grows even more interesting when we meet his sister, Sam Star, in the episode Big Sister Sam. Sam is enormous, towering over the other residents of Bikini Bottom, and her fierce personality makes her both intimidating and protective. The bond between Patrick and Sam is one of sibling loyalty. Despite her rough and sometimes destructive behaviour, Patrick cares deeply for her. The way he calms her anger shows that even Patrick, often the most clueless character in the room, can bring peace when it matters most. Sam's appearance expands Patrick's world, reminding us that behind his goofy demeanour, he belongs to a larger family with its own quirks and dynamics. The Patrick Star Show gives us an even wider view of his family. In the spin-off, we meet Patrick's parents as recurring characters, but also see his younger sister, Squidina, and his grandfather, Grandpat. Squidina plays the role of Patrick's energetic manager, helping him host his very own variety show. She is organised, clever, and always balancing Patrick's silliness with her focus. Together, they form an unlikely but loving duo, with Squidina often guiding Patrick while still celebrating his chaotic imagination. Grandpat, on the other hand, brings wisdom and eccentricity in equal measure. His gruff yet humorous personality adds another layer to the Star family's odd charm. Though not always consistent in advice, Grandpat represents the idea that Patrick's family history is long and perhaps full of stars, just as quirky as he is. Through his family, we begin to see where Patrick's personality truly comes from. His carefree nature, his silliness, and his lack of concern for conventional success all seem to run in the family. Yet, just as important is the love that flows between them. No matter how strange or dysfunctional they may seem, the stars always support one another. In Patrick's world, family isn't about perfection, it's about connection. It's worth noting that Patrick's family has also been a source of mystery and inconsistency throughout the series. In I'm with Stupid, his parents are shown as ordinary-looking starfish, but in the Patrick Star Show, their designs and personalities shift. While some might see this as confusing, it fits perfectly with the chaotic nature of Patrick himself. His world doesn't always make sense, but it doesn't need to den, because at the heart of it is love and laughter. Family also explains why Patrick is so loyal as a friend. Having grown up in a household where acceptance and silliness were natural, he extends that same warmth to others. His bond with SpongeBob reflects the unconditional love he learned from his parents and siblings. Even when Patrick makes mistakes, whether it's hurting SpongeBob's feelings in I'm with Stupid or getting jealous in Dumped, he always comes back to kindness, just as his family always comes back to him. Sam's protectiveness, Squidina's energy, Grandpat's eccentricity, Herb and Margie's quiet love, all of these pieces form the puzzle of who Patrick is. They show that behind the goofy starfish, who naps under his rock, lies a family that, though unusual, gave him the confidence to be himself. And that, perhaps, is Patrick's greatest inheritance, the ability to live freely, joyfully, and unapologetically. In a world that often expects order and seriousness, Patrick carries the legacy of a family that taught him the value of simply being. His parents didn't push him to be a genius, his siblings didn't demand perfection, and his grandfather didn't insist on conformity. Instead, they let Patrick shine in his own way, even if that way was lying under a rock, humming happily to himself. Family is where Patrick's story begins, and family remains at the centre of who he is. Whether it's making Sam laugh, hosting Squidina on his wild show, or sitting quietly with his parents, Patrick's love for his kin never fades. And through them, we see the roots of his heart, a heart that will go on to define his friendships, his adventures, and his place in Bikini Bottom. Every great story has a home, and for Patrick Star, that home is perhaps the simplest in all of Bikini Bottom, a large brown rock sitting quietly on Conch Street, right between SpongeBob's pineapple and Squidward's Easter Island head. To most, it may look like nothing more than a flat, ordinary stone on the ocean floor. But for Patrick, it is his sanctuary, his fortress of comfort, and a perfect reflection of who he is. Patrick's home is first seen in Help Wanted, the very first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. From the outside, it is almost comically plain, a stark contrast to SpongeBob's colourful pineapple or Squidward's elegant tiki-style house. And yet, what lies beneath the rock is exactly what Patrick needs, a simple space with the essentials for a starfish who thrives on ease and relaxation. Inside Patrick's rock, we see very little, sometimes a chair, a lamp, or even a television when the episode calls for it. In Something Smells, Patrick lounges on a recliner beneath his rock, while in Big Pink Loser, we see him watching television and eating ice cream in bed. The layout often changes depending on the story, but the idea remains the same. Patrick doesn't need extravagance. He's happiest with the bare minimum, because to him, life is meant to be simple. This simplicity is part of what makes Patrick so endearing. While Squidward decorates his home with art and instruments, and SpongeBob fills his pineapple with warmth and detail, Patrick's rock is a symbol of his carefree nature. He doesn't worry about decor, organisation, or even functionality. To Patrick, as long as he has a place to nap and occasionally eat, it's enough. The rock itself also symbolises Patrick's tendency to retreat into comfort. When the world becomes too complicated or demanding, Patrick simply pulls down the rock and disappears beneath it. It's his way of shielding himself from stress, a literal shell where he can block out problems. This was hilariously highlighted in Nature Pants, when Patrick tried to coax SpongeBob back home by pulling his rock over himself to mimic SpongeBob's lifestyle. Patrick's home is not just a shelter, but an extension of his personality, unbothered, lazy, and endlessly cozy. Despite its simplicity, the rock has seen many adventures. In Rockabye Bivalve, Patrick and SpongeBob attempt to raise a baby scallop together, with Patrick retreating under his rock to rest while SpongeBob takes care of the responsibilities. In Big Pink Loser, Patrick's time under his rock becomes the setting for his attempts at finding a job and winning an award, only for his laziness to shine through again. The rock is more than just a house. It's the backdrop for countless moments of laughter, lessons, and silliness. The rock also plays a role in Patrick's relationship with his neighbours. To SpongeBob, Patrick's rock is always open, a place where best friends can share ice cream, talk about nonsense, or nap after a long day of jellyfishing. To Squidward, however, the rock is often a source of annoyance. Squidward looks out from his home and sees not only SpongeBob's boundless energy, but Patrick's laziness, and the combination drives him mad. Yet, even Squidward can't deny that Patrick's rock is an essential part of the odd balance on Conch Street. Without it, the street, and Bikini Bottom itself, NDAT, would feel incomplete. One of the most memorable uses of Patrick's home comes in The Secret Box, when SpongeBob discovers that Patrick has a mysterious box under his rock. It becomes a source of endless curiosity. The episode highlights not only Patrick's playful side, but also how his simple home can become the stage for something intriguing. Of course, the secret is nothing more than a string, but it perfectly captures Patrick's charm. Even in simplicity, he can find joy, mystery, and laughter. Patrick's rock is also a symbol of his friendship with SpongeBob. The two live so close that visiting each other takes no effort at all. SpongeBob often knocks on the rock, calling for Patrick, who emerges with his usual cheerful grin. Their homes form a triangle with Squidward's house, a small but iconic corner of Bikini Bottom where countless adventures begin. Without Patrick's rock, SpongeBob's pineapple would feel incomplete, because Patrick's presence is essential to SpongeBob's life. There's also something poetic about Patrick living under a rock. The phrase living under a rock often means being unaware of the world around you, and Patrick embodies that perfectly. He is blissfully oblivious to many things, yet it is this very obliviousness that allows him to live so happily. By choosing to live under a rock, Patrick shows us that he doesn't need to know everything or have everything. His joy comes from simplicity, and his happiness comes from within. In truth, Patrick's home is not just a rock. It is a symbol of his philosophy. Life doesn't have to be complicated to be good. You don't need riches, grandeur, or even a kitchen filled with utensils. Sometimes, all you need is a rock to rest under, a friend to laugh with, and an ice cream to share. And so, Patrick's rock on Conch Street remains one of the most iconic homes in Bikini Bottom. To outsiders, it may look plain or even ridiculous, but to Patrick, it is perfect. It is his comfort, his retreat, and his little piece of the ocean floor. It is a reminder that happiness isn't found in what we own, but in how we live, and Patrick Star, with his rock and his laughter, lives as joyfully as anyone could. If there is one thing that defines Patrick Star more than his rock or his family, it is his friendship with SpongeBob SquarePants. From the moment the two became friends, their bond grew into something far greater than a simple neighbourly connection. It became the foundation of their lives, shaping their adventures, their laughter, and even their struggles. Patrick and SpongeBob's friendship began in their childhood, a time when both were still finding their way in the world. Truth or Square shows glimpses of them as young children, playing together and sharing innocent fun. From the beginning, they shared the same wide-eyed joy for life. Where SpongeBob brought boundless energy and optimism, Patrick balanced it with a simple, carefree charm. Together, they formed a perfect pair, two halves of one unbreakable bond. Living just one house apart on Conch Street made their friendship effortless. SpongeBob could simply step outside his pineapple, knock on Patrick's rock, and within seconds, Patrick would emerge, ready for adventure. Their homes were not just places to live, but gateways to endless fun. Whether it was jellyfishing, blowing bubbles, or just sitting together eating ice cream, they never needed much to be happy. The presence of one another was enough. One of the first episodes to truly highlight their friendship is tea at the Tree Dome. When SpongeBob first meets Sandy Cheeks, Patrick is the one who encourages him to be brave and try new things, even if his advice isn't always perfect. Patrick's support, though sometimes misguided, always comes from a place of loyalty. He wants SpongeBob to succeed, and he believes in him wholeheartedly. This trust, even in the silliest moments, is the heartbeat of their relationship. Their adventures together are legendary. In jellyfishing, we see them share their favourite hobby, chasing jellyfish with nets in hand, laughing as they run across jellyfish fields. To Patrick and SpongeBob, jellyfishing isn't just a pastime. It's a ritual of friendship, an activity that symbolises their shared love for fun and discovery. Even when things go wrong, like when Squidward is stung by a swarm of jellyfish, SpongeBob and Patrick's joy in each other's company never wavers. Bubble blowing is another cornerstone of their bond. In Bubble Stand, SpongeBob builds a bubble stand outside his house, and Patrick joins in with equal excitement. They blow bubbles of all shapes and sizes, cheering for each other's creations. Their enthusiasm is so pure that even Squidward, usually their biggest critic, can't resist trying it himself. The moment perfectly captures their dynamic. SpongeBob and Patrick find joy in the simplest things, and that joy is contagious. But their friendship isn't just about games and laughter. It is about loyalty. In Rockabye Bivalve, when the two adopt a baby scallop together, Patrick takes on the role of dad, albeit in his own lazy way. While SpongeBob does most of the work, Patrick still considers himself part of the family, showing that deep down he values his bond with SpongeBob above all else. Even in difficult times, Patrick stands by SpongeBob. In pizza delivery, when a customer cruelly rejects SpongeBob's efforts, it is Patrick who tries to cheer him up, encouraging him to keep going. Though Patrick isn't always the voice of reason, his loyalty shines in these moments. He never lets SpongeBob face sadness alone. Their friendship, however, is not without its challenges. Episodes like I'm with Stupid and Dumped show that even best friends can hurt each other's feelings. Patrick sometimes misunderstands SpongeBob or takes him for granted, and SpongeBob occasionally feels betrayed. Yet what makes their friendship so strong is their ability to forgive. No matter how big the fight, they always find their way back to each other because their bond runs deeper than temporary disagreements. The depth of their friendship is perhaps most beautifully shown in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. When the two embark on their quest to retrieve King Neptune's crown, they face countless dangers together. From the treacherous journey to Shell City to their near demise under the heat lamp, their loyalty never falters. Even when others doubt them, SpongeBob and Patrick hold on to each other, proving that their friendship is the true source of their strength. Their tearful embrace at the movie's climax is one of the most touching moments in the entire series, reminding us that their bond is more powerful than any obstacle. What makes SpongeBob and Patrick's friendship so special is its purity. They don't need wealth, fame, or grand adventures to be happy. All they need is each other. Whether they are jellyfishing, eating ice cream, or simply sitting quietly, their joy comes from being together. Their relationship is a reminder that true friendship is not measured by what you do, but by the love and loyalty you share. Patrick may not always understand the world, and SpongeBob may sometimes take things too seriously, but together they balance one another. Patrick teaches SpongeBob to slow down, to embrace laziness once in a while, and to laugh at the absurdities of life. SpongeBob teaches Patrick to dream, to try, and to see the beauty in even the smallest details. They lift each other up, and in doing so, they show us the meaning of true companionship. Their friendship is, quite literally, written in the stars. SpongeBob may be the sponge who brings joy to Bikini Bottom, but Patrick is the star who makes sure that joy is always shared. Together, they are more than friends. They are brothers, soulmates in laughter, and partners in every adventure. And as long as there are bubbles to blow and jellyfish to chase, SpongeBob and Patrick's friendship will remain one of the greatest tales under the sea. At first glance, Patrick Star may seem like nothing more than a silly, lazy starfish who spends most of his time napping under his rock. But if we look closer, we find that Patrick possesses something rare and beautiful, a heart that has never grown up. Patrick is, in every sense, a child at heart. It is this innocence and joy that makes him one of the most endearing characters in Bikini Bottom. From the very beginning, Patrick's actions reveal a sense of wonder for the simplest things. In jellyfishing, his eyes light up with pure excitement at the thought of spending the day chasing jellyfish. He doesn't need fancy tools or grand plans. All he needs is a net, a friend, and a field of jellyfish. Every catch, every sting, and every laugh is an adventure in itself. His joy is contagious, reminding SpongeBob and us that happiness can be found in even the smallest of activities. This same innocence shines in Bubble Stand, when Patrick eagerly joins SpongeBob in learning the technique of blowing bubbles. He claps with delight at SpongeBob's demonstrations, treating bubble blowing as though it were the most magical art in the world. To Patrick, bubbles are not just air trapped in soap, they are floating treasures, dazzling and mysterious. His willingness to marvel at such simple things reflects his childlike spirit, a quality that makes him endlessly lovable. Patrick's playful imagination is another part of what makes him so childlike. In the secret box, Patrick guards his box with a seriousness that suggests it contains unimaginable secrets, when in reality it only holds a string. To him, the act of pretending, of imagining something more than what is really there, is enough. Patrick's imagination doesn't require logic or grandeur, it thrives in silliness. And like a child playing make-believe, Patrick is happiest when he is lost in his own world of fun. Even in more complicated situations, Patrick approaches life with the mindset of a child. In Rockabye Bivalve, when he and SpongeBob take on the role of parents to a baby scallop, Patrick embraces the idea in his own way. Though he doesn't take responsibility as seriously as SpongeBob, his excitement at being dad shows that he sees the world through play. To Patrick, even parenthood becomes a game, one where he can love and laugh in his own simple style. Patrick's innocence also shows in his understanding of friendship. In Valentine's Day, SpongeBob plans a surprise for Patrick, building anticipation for a heartfelt gift. When things don't go as expected, Patrick initially feels hurt, but the moment he finally receives SpongeBob's gesture, his joy is uncontainable. He runs around Bikini Bottom shouting with happiness, declaring SpongeBob the best friend ever. His reaction mirrors that of a child who receives a long-awaited gift, pure and unfiltered in its gratitude. But Patrick's childlike nature isn't only about play and joy, it also comes with vulnerability. Like a child, Patrick is easily hurt when he feels left out or misunderstood. In I'm with Stupid, he believes his parents respect him more when SpongeBob pretends to be unintelligent, only for Patrick to accidentally insult his friend. His eagerness to please his family, combined with his inability to see the bigger picture, shows the innocence and fragility of his heart. Similarly, in Dumped, Patrick becomes jealous when SpongeBob spends more time with Gary. His feelings are raw, unfiltered, and deeply human, showing that even his flaws are rooted in his childlike emotions. Patrick's playfulness also shapes his relationship with SpongeBob. The two are often seen laughing together over the silliest of things, from silly faces to nonsense conversations. In the Idiot Box, they sit inside a cardboard box and imagine entire worlds of adventure, completely content with their pretend play. Squidward, baffled and frustrated, cannot understand how they are having so much fun. But that is the beauty of Patrick and SpongeBob's childlike spirits. They don't need reality to have joy. Imagination is enough. This innocence is what makes Patrick so relatable and enduring. In a world where many characters chase ambition, success, or recognition, Patrick reminds us of the value of simplicity. He doesn't strive to be the smartest, the fastest, or the best. He only strives to be happy. Like a child, he wakes each day, ready to laugh, play, and enjoy whatever comes his way. Patrick's childlike qualities also explain why he resonates so deeply with SpongeBob. The two share an innocence that the rest of Bikini Bottom often misunderstands, while Squidward sees them as foolish, and Mr. Krabs sees them as naive. Patrick and SpongeBob see the world through the same lens, a playground of endless possibilities. Their bond is not built on logic or practicality, it is built on shared wonder. Even in the films, Patrick's childlike nature is a driving force. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Patrick dreams of being a hero, cheering SpongeBob on as though their quest were nothing more than a grand adventure. His delight in wearing goofy outfits, like the Goofy Goober costumes, mirrors a child's excitement in dress-up. In Sponge on the Run, his loyalty to SpongeBob is expressed in simple, heartfelt ways, reminding us that even on the grandest adventures, Patrick remains a child at heart. What makes Patrick's innocence so special is that it isn't ignorance, it is choice. Patrick chooses joy. He chooses laughter. He chooses to find magic in bubbles, games, and imagination. Where others see boredom, he sees adventure. Where others find frustration, he finds humour. His childlike heart is not a weakness, but a strength, one that allows him to live freely and happily in a way that few others can. In the end, Patrick Star's innocence is what makes him timeless. He doesn't grow up, but he doesn't need to. His childlike spirit is a gift, to SpongeBob, to Bikini Bottom, and to all of us. He shows us that, even as we grow older, we can still hold on to wonder, laughter, and play. And that perhaps the secret to happiness is to never let go of the child inside us. Patrick Star is often called the town fool of Bikini Bottom, a lazy, dim-witted starfish whose days are spent napping under his rock, eating ice cream, or joining SpongeBob in some silly adventure. And yet, those who know him best also understand that Patrick is much more than that. Beneath his goofy smile and slow thinking lies a surprising depth, a kind of accidental wisdom that has made him one of the most unforgettable characters in Bikini Bottom. In Big Pink Loser, Patrick is given his most famous role as Bikini Bottom's lovable fool. Wanting to win an award like SpongeBob, Patrick tries to copy everything his best friend does, from working at the Krusty Krab to cleaning, cooking, and even answering the phone. The result is pure chaos. Patrick's incompetence is played for laughs, but the episode also reveals something deeper. Patrick's admiration for SpongeBob and his desire to be like him. Though his attempts fail miserably, his heart is in the right place. He shows us that even a fool can love deeply and want the best for his friends. And yet, Patrick is not always as clueless as he seems. In the secret box, he guards his simple cardboard box with an air of seriousness, treating it as though it holds the greatest mystery in the ocean. When SpongeBob desperately tries to peek inside, Patrick calmly explains that the secret is his to keep. At the end, we discover the secret is nothing more than a string, yet Patrick's insistence on keeping it private holds a quiet lesson about boundaries and respect. For all his silliness, Patrick shows that even the most trivial things can carry deep meaning, depending on how we value them. Patrick's surprising flashes of wisdom often come at the strangest moments. In Survival of the Idiots, when SpongeBob and Patrick become trapped in Sandy's tree dome during hibernation, Patrick declares, "We're not cavemen, we have technology." before smashing Sandy's record player in an attempt to fix their situation. The humour lies in his complete failure, but the line itself reflects something profound. Patrick's confidence in facing problems, no matter how little he understands them. His solutions may be misguided, but his belief in himself is unwavering. At times, Patrick's wisdom borders on philosophical. In Squilliam Returns, when SpongeBob panics while serving food at the Krusty Krab, Patrick advises, "Once upon a time, there was an ugly barnacle. He was so ugly that everyone died. The end." Though absurd, the story somehow calms SpongeBob down, reminding him not to overthink. It's a perfect example of Patrick's strange but effective way of cutting through tension. His nonsense carries meaning because it shifts perspective, helping others let go of worry. Patrick's role as both fool and philosopher is also seen in Sailor Mouth, where he misinterprets SpongeBob's discovery of bad words. Though Patrick gleefully joins in using the words, he treats them like playful sounds rather than insults. His innocence reminds us that words only have power when we choose to give them meaning. While SpongeBob and Patrick eventually learn the importance of respecting language, Patrick's carefree attitude reveals the value of not letting negativity control us. Another example comes from No Weenies Allowed, where SpongeBob tries desperately to prove his toughness to enter the salty spittoon. Patrick, in his own clueless way, tries to help. In the end, it is Patrick who accidentally gets admitted to the club without even trying. The irony highlights one of Patrick's quiet truths. Sometimes, by not striving so hard, we achieve more. Patrick doesn't worry about appearances, and his authenticity often leads him where effort cannot. Even in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Patrick's role as comic relief contains surprising depth. When SpongeBob loses hope during their quest to retrieve King Neptune's crown, it is Patrick who joins him in the iconic Goofy Goober Rock moment, helping SpongeBob realize that being true to themselves is their greatest strength. Patrick doesn't give a rousing speech or craft a clever plan. Instead, he simply supports SpongeBob wholeheartedly, showing that wisdom is not always in words, but in action and loyalty. Patrick's accidental insights remind us that wisdom is not limited to the clever or the ambitious. Sometimes it comes from seeing the world without overcomplicating it. Patrick doesn't dwell on the past or worry about the future. He lives in the moment, finding joy in what is right in front of him. That simplicity, often mistaken for stupidity, is in fact a kind of philosophy, one that many of us forget as we grow older. In many ways, Patrick embodies the archetype of the holy fool, a character who, despite being laughed at, reveals deeper truths. His childlike joy, his unconditional love, and his flashes of clarity make him more than just comic relief. He is a reminder that wisdom doesn't always come from intelligence. Sometimes it comes from honesty, innocence, and an open heart. Of course, Patrick's foolishness is still very real. He makes mistakes, misunderstands situations, and often causes chaos. But his wisdom lies in his ability to move on without regret. Where others dwell on failure, Patrick shrugs and laughs, ready for the next adventure. His resilience, his refusal to let mistakes define him, is perhaps his greatest lesson of all. Patrick Star may be the fool of Bikini Bottom, but he is also its philosopher. He teaches us that life doesn't always need to make sense, that laughter can heal sadness, and that sometimes the simplest answers are the truest ones. He may not know much about the world, but what he does know is more important than all the facts in the sea, that friendship, joy, and love are what truly matter. And so, Patrick remains both the fool and the philosopher, a starfish who reminds us that even in silliness there can be wisdom, and even in foolishness there can be truth. Patrick Star is beloved for his laughter, innocence, and loyalty, but like every character in Bikini Bottom, he is not without flaws. While his childlike joy often brings happiness, it can sometimes lead to selfishness, jealousy, or thoughtlessness. Yet, What makes Patrick truly special is not that he is perfect, but that he learns, grows, and always finds his way back to kindness. One of the clearest examples of Patrick's flaws appears in I'm with Stupid. In this episode, Patrick asks SpongeBob to help him impress his parents. SpongeBob, wanting to support his friend, pretends to be unintelligent so Patrick will seem smart in comparison. But Patrick, instead of appreciating SpongeBob's sacrifice, begins insulting him, even enjoying the act of mocking his friend. It is a hurtful moment, showing that Patrick can be insensitive when trying to impress others, and yet, the episode also reveals his innocence. Patrick doesn't realize how deeply his words sting. His flaw is not cruelty, but cluelessness, and when the truth is revealed, he quickly drops the act. Jealousy is another flaw Patrick struggles with. In Dumped, SpongeBob spends more time with Gary, causing Patrick to feel left out. Instead of expressing his feelings openly, Patrick reacts with childish anger, creating tension between himself and SpongeBob. His jealousy blinds him to the truth. SpongeBob never meant to exclude him. This episode shows Patrick's vulnerability, like a child. He fears losing the love and attention of his best friend. But in the end, Patrick's loyalty triumphs, and he makes amends, proving that even when jealousy takes hold, his heart always leads him back to friendship. Patrick's selfishness is also highlighted in Rockabye Bivalve. When he and SpongeBob adopt a baby scallop, SpongeBob takes on the role of the hard-working mom, while Patrick assumes the role of the dad. However, instead of helping, Patrick spends his days lounging under his rock, watching television and sleeping. SpongeBob grows frustrated as he shoulders all the responsibility alone. Patrick's flaw here is his laziness, his unwillingness to step outside of his comfort zone. But once again, his actions are not malicious. He truly believes he is fulfilling his role, showing how his flaws often stem from misunderstanding rather than ill intent. In Big Pink Loser, Patrick's desire to win an award leads him to copy SpongeBob's every move. At first, it seems endearing, but his imitation becomes frustrating for SpongeBob. Patrick's flaw here is his lack of individuality and his tendency to become overly competitive. Yet by the end, Patrick learns that trying to be someone else will never bring happiness. He may not win an award, but he discovers that his friendship with SpongeBob is reward enough. Another moment that reveals Patrick's selfish side is in Valentine's Day. SpongeBob plans a big surprise for Patrick, but when things don't go as expected, Patrick feels slighted. His disappointment quickly turns into anger, leading to a tantrum where he lashes out at everyone around him. But as soon as SpongeBob gives him the gesture of love he had been waiting for, Patrick's anger melts into joy. This moment shows that while Patrick's emotions can get the better of him, his heart is always open to forgiveness and love. Even in the secret box, Patrick's flaws are playfully revealed. He guards his box from SpongeBob with a seriousness that frustrates his friend, refusing to share what's inside. While this may seem selfish, it also highlights Patrick's need for independence. For once, he wants to have something that belongs only to him. His flaw here is not greed, but stubbornness, gin-se, a childlike insistence on holding on to something private. And though it upsets SpongeBob, it ultimately teaches a lesson about respecting boundaries. Patrick's flaws often mirror those of a child: jealousy, selfishness, stubbornness, and insensitivity. But just like a child, he is quick to forgive, quick to forget, and always ready to return to love. His mistakes never define him for long, because he does not hold on to anger or grudges. Instead, he allows his heart to guide him back to the people he cares about most. In fact, Patrick's flaws are part of what make him so relatable. He is not perfect, and he doesn't try to be. He gets jealous, he makes mistakes, and he sometimes hurts his friends without realizing it. But he also apologizes, grows, and learns. His imperfections make his kindness all the more meaningful, because they remind us that love and loyalty are not about never making mistakes. They are about always finding your way back to each other. Even in the films, Patrick's flaws are on display. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, his laziness and clumsiness often slow their journey. But it is also Patrick who stands beside SpongeBob at his lowest point, reminding him of their shared strength. His flaws do not erase his goodness, they make it real. Patrick Star is not defined by his selfishness or his jealousy. He is defined by his ability to overcome them, to recognize when he has hurt someone, and to make it right. His flaws are not signs of weakness, but of humanity, or perhaps, in his case, steranity. They remind us that even the silliest, simplest hearts are capable of love, forgiveness, and growth. And so, Patrick teaches us that being flawed does not make us unworthy of love. It makes us real. It makes our kindness more powerful, our loyalty more meaningful, and our laughter more genuine. Patrick's flaws are not what hold him back. They are what make him a true star, shining brighter because he is imperfect, and loved all the more because of it. For much of his life, Patrick Star has been content to stay under his rock on Conch Street, sharing ice cream with SpongeBob and enjoying the quiet life of Bikini Bottom. But there are moments when even Patrick is swept up into adventures far greater than he could ever imagine. In the SpongeBob movies and a handful of epic episodes, Patrick steps beyond the borders of his hometown, discovering courage, loyalty, and surprising strength in himself. The first, and perhaps most iconic of these adventures, came in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, 2004. When King Neptune's crown is stolen and taken to the distant Shell City, SpongeBob and Patrick embark on a quest to retrieve it and save Mr. Krabs from a fiery fate. At first, Patrick seems like the same lazy starfish we know and love. He tags along for the promise of ice cream and fun, not fully grasping the gravity of their mission. But as the journey unfolds, Patrick proves that he is far more than a sidekick. One of Patrick's most memorable moments comes when he and SpongeBob stop at the Goofy Goober's ice cream party boat. In their despair, they drown their sorrows in sundaes, only to be mocked by others as kids who will never grow up. But Patrick, unashamed of his childlike joy, reminds SpongeBob that being yourself is never a weakness. Later, when the two unleash the power of Goofy Goober Rock to defeat Plankton's mind control plan, Patrick stands side by side with SpongeBob as a true hero. His loyalty, silliness, and love for SpongeBob turn out to be their greatest weapons. Patrick also shows moments of surprising bravery during this adventure. From riding the monstrous patty wagon to surviving Shell City's dangers, Patrick proves that even a starfish who prefers naps can rise to the occasion when his best friend, NDY, and all of Bikini Bottom, needs him most. His flaws remain, but in the face of danger, Patrick's loyalty outweighs everything else. Years later, in the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, 2015, Patrick once again finds himself caught in a world-spanning quest. This time, SpongeBob and his friends must retrieve the stolen Krabby Patty secret formula, leading them from Bikini Bottom to the surface world. Patrick's role is, as always, full of humour. His simple-minded ideas often complicate the journey, but they also highlight his unshakable optimism. One of Patrick's funniest, in-depth, and most revealing moments comes when the group transforms into superheroes upon reaching the surface. Patrick becomes Mr. Superawesomeness, a superhero whose powers are fueled by ice cream. While played for laughs, this persona captures Patrick perfectly. His strength doesn't come from ambition or intellect, but from joy. Ice cream, one of his greatest loves, becomes the source of his heroic power. It's silly, yes, but it's also symbolic of how Patrick draws courage and energy from the simple pleasures of life. In this film, Patrick also demonstrates his role as a steady, if unusual, presence for SpongeBob. When the group begins to fight among themselves, Patrick's honesty and humour remind them of what really matters, their friendship. He may not solve problems with logic, but he helps heal divisions with laughter and loyalty. The third major film, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, 2020, gave Patrick an even more central role in SpongeBob's journey. When Gary is snail-napped by King Poseidon, SpongeBob and Patrick set out on an epic rescue mission. Along the way, Patrick proves that he is more than just comic relief. He is SpongeBob's anchor. In one of the film's most heartfelt moments, SpongeBob and Patrick are confronted with illusions that play on their fears and insecurities. Patrick, often seen as clueless, surprises everyone by offering genuine words of encouragement. He reassures SpongeBob, reminding him of the strength that lies in his heart and the love they share as friends. It is a powerful reminder that beneath Patrick's silly exterior lies deep loyalty and compassion. The movie also includes a touching flashback to SpongeBob's childhood days at Camp Coral, where we see young Patrick befriending SpongeBob for the very first time. These memories show that Patrick has been a constant in SpongeBob's life from the very beginning, reinforcing just how inseparable the two have always been. Outside the films, Patrick has had his share of big adventures in the series itself. In Neptune's Spatula, Patrick joined SpongeBob in witnessing SpongeBob pull the legendary spatula from the grease, cheering him on as if it were the greatest event in history. In Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5, Patrick briefly becomes a superhero sidekick, reveling in the chance to play pretend on a grand scale. Even when the adventures are larger than life, Patrick approaches them with the same joy he brings to jellyfishing or bubble blowing. Patrick's role in these epic tales highlights the balance of his character. He is not a traditional hero. He is clumsy, slow, and often the source of comic relief. Yet it is precisely because of these traits that he succeeds. Patrick doesn't overthink, he doesn't second guess, and he never abandons his friends. His foolishness becomes strength because it keeps him focused on what truly matters: love, loyalty, and joy. In many ways, Patrick's adventures beyond Bikini Bottom are not departures from his character, but confirmations of it. Whether under his rock or facing the dangers of Shell City, Patrick remains true to himself. He shows us that heroism isn't about being the smartest, fastest, or bravest. It's about being there for those you love, even when the odds are against you. And so, Patrick Star proves time and again that even the simplest starfish can shine the brightest when the world needs him most. His adventures may take him far from Bikini Bottom, but his heart, his childlike wonder, his loyalty to SpongeBob, and his love for ice cream never changes. For years, Patrick Star was known as SpongeBob's lovable sidekick, NET4, the goofy pink starfish, whose antics brought laughter to every corner of Bikini Bottom. But in 2021, Patrick took centre stage in his very own spin-off series, The Patrick Star Show. For the first time, fans saw Bikini Bottom not just through SpongeBob's bubbly optimism, but through Patrick's delightfully silly imagination. At its core, The Patrick Star Show is about Patrick hosting a low-budget television program from the comfort of his home. With the help of his eccentric family and an endless stream of wild ideas, Patrick creates episodes that are part variety show, part surreal adventure, and all heart. The show captures Patrick's essence perfectly, messy, unpredictable, and brimming with childlike joy. One of the biggest revelations of the series is Patrick's family. While we had met his parents in I'm With Stupid and his sister Sam in Big Sister Sam, the Patrick Star Show expands this world dramatically. We meet Bunny Star, Patrick's loving but scatterbrained mother, Cecil Star, his laid-back and supportive father, Squidina Star, his energetic little sister who helps produce his show, and Grandpat Star, his grumpy but wise grandfather. Each member of the family brings a new layer of humour and heart, showing that Patrick's silliness runs in the family, but also highlighting how much they all love one another. The inclusion of Patrick's family gives us new insight into why he is the way he is. Bunny and Cecil are relaxed and affectionate, showing where Patrick gets his easygoing nature. Squidina, with her energy and enthusiasm, mirrors SpongeBob's boundless spirit, explaining why Patrick is so drawn to SpongeBob's personality. And Grandpat, despite his grumpiness, often provides quirky pearls of wisdom that echo Patrick's own strange blend of foolishness and philosophy. What makes the Patrick Star Show so delightful is the way it explores Patrick's imagination. Episodes often take the form of surreal sketches or bizarre adventures, as if we are watching Patrick's daydreams brought to life. In one moment, Patrick might be performing a cooking segment with disastrous results. In another, he could be starring in an over-the-top action scene, or transforming his living room into a stage for a musical. The randomness of it all perfectly matches Patrick's personality. Unpredictable, chaotic, but always fun. Despite its wacky premise, the show retains the warmth that defines Patrick's character. At its heart, the Patrick Star Show is about family, love, and the joy of creating. Patrick's show is not polished or professional, but that's what makes it charming. It reflects the idea that imagination doesn't need perfection, it only needs enthusiasm. Through Patrick's antics, the series celebrates creativity in its purest form, reminding us that playfulness is something we never have to outgrow. The series also gives Patrick the spotlight to show his individuality. While in SpongeBob SquarePants, he is often seen in SpongeBob's shadow. Here Patrick is the star, literally. We see his strengths, his humour, and even his ability to carry a story on his own. Of course, SpongeBob still appears occasionally, reminding us of their unshakable friendship, but this time the narrative revolves around Patrick's perspective. It shows us that while he may be silly, Patrick is a character with depth and charm all his own. Episodes often highlight Patrick's flaws in humorous ways, but also celebrate his innocence. For example, Patrick may misunderstand directions or cause chaos with his wild ideas, but his family never stops supporting him. Bunny and Cecil watch with pride, Squidina encourages his creativity, and even Grandpat, despite his complaints, joins in at times. The dynamic underscores one of the most wholesome aspects of the show: unconditional love. Patrick's family accepts him for who he is, flaws and all, and that acceptance makes his adventures all the more joyful. The Patrick Star Show also introduces a playful new side to Patrick's world. His rock home becomes not just a place for naps, but a stage for creativity. His neighbourhood and surroundings become backdrops for his zany ideas. It is as though the series invites us into Patrick's imagination, allowing us to see the world the way he does, colourful, silly, and endlessly entertaining. For long-time fans of SpongeBob SquarePants, the spin-off may feel like a departure, but it also enriches Patrick's character. We've always known him as SpongeBob's best friend, but now we see him as a son, a brother, a grandson, and a dreamer. We see his heart more clearly, and we understand that beneath the silliness is someone who wants to share joy with the world. And that is perhaps the greatest gift of the Patrick Star Show. It reminds us that laughter doesn't need to be complicated, that imagination doesn't need rules, and that family and friends are the best audience of all. Patrick may not host a perfect talk show, but in his own way, he brings the same light to his family that he has always brought to SpongeBob and to Bikini Bottom. In the end, the Patrick Star Show is not just a spin-off, it is a celebration of Patrick himself. It shows us the beauty of his imagination, the love of his family, and the joy he brings to everyone around him. For Patrick, being the star isn't about fame or recognition. It's about sharing laughter, spreading happiness, and staying true to his childlike heart. And through this series, Patrick Star shines brighter than ever. When we think of Patrick Star, we might first picture a lazy pink starfish napping under a rock, holding an ice cream cone, or laughing at something silly with SpongeBob. But when we look closer, Patrick's role in Bikini Bottom, SAA, and in the hearts of fans is so much more than that. Patrick is not only SpongeBob's best friend, He is the heart of friendship itself. His flaws, his silliness, and his unwavering love all come together to form a character who reminds us what it means to live simply, laugh often, and love unconditionally. Throughout the series, Patrick has been at SpongeBob's side through every adventure, big and small. Whether it's chasing jellyfish, blowing bubbles, or embarking on quests to Shell City, Patrick has never abandoned his friend. His loyalty is absolute. Even when he misunderstands or makes mistakes, Patrick's devotion always shines through. In pizza delivery, he comforts SpongeBob after the cruel customer rejects his hard work. In Valentine's Day, his over-the-top joy at SpongeBob's gift shows just how much he treasures even the smallest gestures of kindness. These moments reveal the depth of Patrick's heart. He may not always find the right words, but he always feels the right love. Patrick's innocence is what makes him so special. While others in Bikini Bottom chase after money, success, or recognition, Patrick is content with the simple joys of life. He finds happiness in ice cream cones, jellyfishing trips, naps under the sun, or silly games with SpongeBob. His childlike wonder reminds us that joy does not have to be complicated. Sometimes, the most meaningful memories come from the simplest days spent with people we love. And yet, Patrick is more than just a fool or a child at heart. He is also a philosopher in disguise, offering flashes of wisdom at the most unexpected times. In The Secret Box, he reminds us that everyone deserves their own space and secrets, no matter how small. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, he shows us that being true to yourself, no matter how silly others may think it is the key to victory. Even in Sponge on the Run, Patrick reassures SpongeBob when he feels hopeless, proving that his heart is full of compassion. Patrick's wisdom may not come from books or intellect, but from honesty, innocence, and love. Of course, Patrick has his flaws: jealousy, selfishness, stubbornness, elamane. But those flaws make him human. They remind us that love and friendship are not about perfection, but about forgiveness. Patrick sometimes hurts SpongeBob, as seen in I'm with Stupid or Dumped, but he always finds his way back to him. His mistakes do not define him. His ability to forgive, apologize, and continue loving does. That is the true strength of his heart. Patrick's role in the movies further cements his importance. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, he stands as SpongeBob's partner in courage, helping to save Bikini Bottom from Plankton's evil plan. In Sponge Out of Water, he shows that joy and laughter can be powerful even in the most dangerous situations. And in Sponge on the Run, his heartfelt support during SpongeBob's search for Gary proves once again that Patrick is more than comic relief. He is the emotional anchor of SpongeBob's life. His spin-off, The Patrick Star Show, expands this even more by giving us a glimpse of his family. Surrounded by his loving parents, sister, and grandfather, Patrick shines as a dreamer who sees the world as a playground. His silly variety show embodies his essence: imperfect, messy, but full of joy and heart. It shows us that Patrick is not just a sidekick, he is a star in his own right, capable of carrying stories, laughter, and love all on his own. When we step back and look at Patrick's entire story, we see why he is so beloved. He is the friend who may stumble but will never leave your side. He is the child at heart who reminds us to keep our wonder alive. He is the fool who teaches us that wisdom can be found in laughter. And he is the starfish who shows us that love, loyalty, and joy are what truly matter in life. Perhaps the best way to understand Patrick's heart is to think about his friendship with SpongeBob. Their bond is one of the most iconic in all of animation. They laugh together, cry together, and face the world together. They may fight or misunderstand each other, but they always return to the same truth: life is better when they are side by side. Patrick is not complete without SpongeBob, and SpongeBob is not complete without Patrick. Their friendship is the truest expression of Patrick's heart. In the end, Patrick Star is not just a silly character on a cartoon. He is a reminder of the joy of friendship, the beauty of simplicity, and the importance of love that doesn't need to be earned. He teaches us that even with our flaws, we can still be worthy of love, laughter, and loyalty. And so, the story of Patrick Star is more than the tale of a starfish under a rock. It is a story about the heart, about choosing joy over worry, laughter over fear, and friendship over loneliness. Patrick's heart will always shine brightly in Bikini Bottom, reminding us all that the truest treasures in life are not crowns, awards, or riches, but the love we share with the people who matter most. Patrick Star is, and always will be, the beating heart of Bikini Bottom's laughter.